Welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rhonda.
And I'm the infamous Chuckalicious Chuck Williams.
And it is Wednesday, and you know what that means. We get a little bit better. Our man Jody Holland joins us each and every week to make us better. Jody, good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be with you guys. It is a beautiful day outside today, so going to be a good one.
Sometimes, Jody, we're our own worst enemies. We're usually the first place you find self-doubt, hesitation, and sometimes a lack of confidence. And that's
right.
big competitive. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk today a little bit about getting out of your own way.
So one of my favorite authors on that subject is a guy named Stephen Pressfield, and he's written several books. He was an interesting character because he was in his own way for most of his life. He was the screenwriter for King Kong, did a whole bunch of stuff that was just not really that great. And then one day he wrote this book, The Legend of Bagger Vance. And most of us have seen that movie, The Legend of Bagger Vance. That was his 42nd book that he wrote. So you have 41 books that you've never heard of. And then the 42nd book was like this amazing bestseller. They made a movie out of it and all this kind of stuff. But after that, he started thinking, what is it that I did different that I got out of my own way creatively that allowed me to actually accomplish something great in my life? And he said, well, I started with how do you fill the voids that are in your life? So you make a list of everything that you want to get done, that you want to accomplish, and you make a list of everything you've already accomplished. And that shows you that void or that gap between where you are and where you want to be. What he describes is that we get in our own way because, number one, we stick around with all the people who are used to the old us. And the people who are used to the old us, when you try to change, they're like, whoa, what are you doing there? Like that's not okay. We know who you are. You need to stay this other person who struggles like the rest of us. He said sometimes you have to find a new crowd that will encourage you and see the new you. Second thing that he says is that you have to put in your mind the right emotional triggers for you to move in the right direction. And in one of his other books, The War of Art, not The Art of War by Sun Tzu, but The War of Art, backwards, he says that resistance is like this dragon. So you got to get your sword out of persistence, and you got to figure out every day, how do you create a rhythm so that you're consistently creative or you're consistently moving forward. And he was asked by a journalist after he wrote that first book, so, well, what is it that you do? Do you write when you're creative, or do you write at a certain time? And the answer is yes. At exactly 9 a.m., he sits down and does what he's supposed to do, and he is creative. So you create your rhythms to keep going. Most people will end up in this being in their own way kind of thing because they go, well, I have to feel like going to the gym before I go to the gym, or I have to feel like being creative before I'm going to be creative. And the reality is you have to go do something, then you'll feel it. And he said the discipline stimulates the creative progression, but you've got to be disciplined in order to be creative. And that we end up in that resistance because we see an image of who we were and we embrace that. Other people see an image of who we were and they prevent us from moving forward. So build the right team around you that believes in you and supports you and pushes you forward, but then discipline yourself in the way somebody else would. So I think of it like this. I don't know if you guys ever watched the David Goggins videos. That dude's a beast. And his idea is every day do something that you hate or that isn't fun. And if you do that, then everything that's important becomes easy. So I kind of like that philosophy. So if you imagine yourself like a David Goggins and you go, oh, that looks tough. And then you go, tough, I can do anything. And then you go attack it. It kind of changes your perspective. So you embody this like intensity or attitude of somebody that you really look up to. And then you start to adopt those characteristics. But you have to start imagining yourself different in order to actually then become different. So it's It's been a fascinating book. I went back through the book again, and I love the idea that we can overcome anything if we just understand it is our choice to act and then feel.
Mm.
I think the thing that you said about people wanting you to stay as your old self is really that's really the way the world works, it seems to me. So when you're trying to improve yourself and you have this resistance, what I mean, how important is it for you to understand that you're changing and these people that are kind of giving you flack about it, they're not necessarily wanting to change themselves. So it seems like a threat to them.
It's
Would you
scary.
agree
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. And, not all friends are that way. I want to point out you don't
Right.
like have to dump your entire friend group to become better, but you
Right.
do need to establish this is where I'm going. I would love your support.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found that if I'll put it out there that I'm pursuing this thing, I would love your support. Typically, your friends will be more supportive. But if you just change and you're not telling people, hey, I'm going in this new direction, then a lot of times those same friends would be like, whoa, that's not you, man. What are you trying to do there? If they don't support you and you want to go in this new direction, then you need to find another friend or another supporter, or just get in your head you're going to go no matter what. But you do sometimes, like if people are trying to hold you back, you may need to change up your connections a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, I guess this goes back to the old school, to the way I think. I'm from the school that do the work. In other words, I know that's somewhat cliche-ish in this day and age, but you have to do the work in order to be successful. But even
Yeah.
doing the work can get to be oppressive, can it not? And even that can be a negative issue.
It can be like if you try to overload yourself, if you try to put unrealistic expectations on the amount of work you can do. So let's say that you're going to start an entrepreneurial venture, and you're going to do, Chuck's Perfect Suit Company, and you go out there and you go, I'm going to start this, but I'm going to have to sell 100 suits a day starting day one, or I'm not
Right.
going to be okay. Well, that's not realistic. So you have to have incremental change. Otherwise, you yo-yo backwards. So think of it like this. You have this comfort zone that you're in. And if you go
Right.
too far above the comfort zone, your subconscious, it will attack you and bring you down. If you go to the comfort zone, your subconscious will kick you in the tail and make you move back up. So if you move the comfort zone just a little bit at a time, 1 degree better every week, then you'll find in 52 weeks you're 52% better if you just went 1% better per week. So doing the work has to be, number one, realistic, but it does, number two, have to be forward momentum. Because if you just do the work to maintain, most people are really unhappy. But if you do the work and you
Okay.
see forward movement, then you're happy, and your mind will accept small incremental changes, but it will fight massive change.
Whoa.
We're talking about changing your happenstance, getting out of your own way, changing your friends, whatever you need to do to improve yourself. My grandmother used to say, I'm not looking for any new friends. I'm looking to get rid of a few old ones. So I'm not trying to
Yeah.
make friends. So
I still wish I'd met your
yeah, she's
grandmother.
great. We're going to take a break real quick. We'll come back and get out of our own way with Jody Holland right here on the chat.